Hello and welcome to WJTS in.form. I'm your host, Bill Potter. We're going to talk about a new program and some new directors within the state of Indiana through Purdue Extension. Joining us in the studio is Jan Dougan. Jan is the local director of the DuBois County Extension Office of Purdue Extension, and she is also the Health and Human Sciences educator. Also joining us is Ashlee Sudbury. Ashlee has a new position within Purdue Extension, and we're going to talk about that. But before we get to you, Ashlee, we're going to kind of let Jan maybe give us the history of Ashlee and where she is and what her new program is.
Okay, so it's been not quite a year yet, and we've been working with the Nutrition Education Program, which is a grant-funded program in the state of Indiana through USDA. And in the past, we have had nutrition education paraprofessionals who have done direct education in our schools and in our community, working with families and individuals to improve their nutrition, to improve their food safety, to spend less on money and food for their families. And we're taking a new direction with the new nutrition education program in that we are hiring community wellness coordinators around the state of Indiana, and DuBois County was one of the pilot projects, which Ashlee was one of the original community wellness coordinators in the state, and now we've expanded out and we're hiring those in other parts of the state to look at our policies, our systems, and our environment, and how that impacts the healthy choices that we make or choose not to make.
Okay, so Ashlee, now you have been in this position for almost a year. How's it going?
It's going really well. I laugh because I came from my old position in which I felt like I was constantly on the run doing something. And then I got to this position, and my background was political science. So, policy, systems, environment, I was familiar with it. But it was still an adjustment, and it was a change. And that's the way, for me personally, I like to kind of describe what I do, is this is just a new way of looking how we can incorporate health and wellness within our communities.
What do you see as the biggest challenge? What is our biggest wellness challenge, I guess? Are we eating wrong? Are we not running enough?
So one of the early tasks that I had was to conduct a community assessment. And so I'm looking at all of the sectors within our county and in our communities, and so work sites, schools, community at large. So that could be your local governments, kind of like your governing bodies, community institutions and organizations. Purdue Extension would be an example of a community institution or an organization. And then healthcare sectors too. So, a clinic or the health department or something like that. And so I would go in and I would talk with them, and I worked with a group of people. I've had to get a good community group together to kind of help and team up on this. And basically we're still running through and combing through some of those results. But when you look at policies, you look at systems, and you look at environments, sometimes we don't often realize how maybe the decision to not have a sidewalk from point A to point B might impact somebody as far as having access to walking to a grocery store or access to easy physical activity that they can incorporate within their daily life. Or maybe, if we've got ordinances that they don't allow for farmers markets within, a certain area, just looking at all of those things. So obviously this is going to be a long process, There's always something we can look at, and the change. If you're looking at public policy, that's a huge task, and that can take time. But something too that seems relatively simple is just ensuring that our limited resource audiences can utilize SNAP dollars at a farmer's market. And so that's something that's a little bit of a smaller, but yet a large impact for our community.
See, now I would have thought wellness, okay, I should eat more lettuce, but that's not really,
in a way it is. Jan would be more at the direct education of telling you why it's important to eat lettuce, how to eat your lettuce. I am making sure our grocery stores carry lettuce, because Jan can preach all she wants about lettuce, but if we don't have it, nobody's going to eat it.
And she does preach a lot about vegetables.
She does a really good job.
She really does. Jan has changed the way I look at eating. I really enjoy eating, but she made me look at labels to think about how I'm cooking and why I'm cooking something. Right. But that's a good point in that if she may get me to try squash, which by the way, Jan, I did some butternut squash the other day. It was awesome.
Good.
But if my store doesn't carry it,
Right.
it doesn't do a lot of good.
Right.
Or if your store doesn't carry a quality product, you know, you're not going to buy it. So, you know, that's where Ashlee could come in.
And it's that whole concept of making the healthy choice the easy choice. And so we're looking at different ways, you know, whether that's within our physical environments, so like your built environment. One way of incorporating physical activity is making sure that our communities have safe public parks that are appealing, you know, that make you want to come there. Some communities in DuBois County, we're pretty lucky. You know, we have a lot of parks, and they're really well kept. Not every community has that opportunity, you know, and so that's something that if I were scoring that, DuBois County, we would score really well on that. Public transportation sometimes is one of those areas in larger cities where they have found ways to utilize their public transportation systems in getting people, you know, maybe they'll place a bus stop near a farmer's market. You know, just those little strategic type moves that we don't necessarily recognize up front has an influence on the way that we live our lives. And sometimes those changes can be simple, sometimes they can be big, but they can have a huge impact on our health and wellness.
So you're out looking for little things that can make a big impact.
Right, little things, kind of connecting the dots, you know, and some of our food pantries, talking with the Tri-State Food Bank director, you know, and this was probably late last summer, and talking about some of the biggest issues that he had. And so you take that back to your community and you try to connect the dots. You know, it's like how can we do this and how can we do that? And one of the things that he's looking at trying to do are mobile food pantries, and that's to help in your more rural areas. Maybe I'm a low-income family and I don't have access to a vehicle 7 days out of the week, you know, and it's possible you're carpooling with somebody or you just have to borrow a vehicle. So by essentially being able to bring a food pantry to them, you know, that's helping give them those better food options.
Will you go and do programs for people so that they understand this, or do they contact you and say, you know, I have a problem in that I can't find lettuce?
Right. So I don't necessarily do programming. What I do partake in, though, is I sit on different councils and different committees, and obviously anybody at any point in time can always call me or email me. We do a lot of, if you want to call it the referral system, you know, maybe Jan's working with a group and she's like, hey, Ashlee, you know, this might be something you can look into. And then I do the same with Jan. But really it's kind of this community task force, for lack of a better term, that, you know, I've engaged with the DuBois County Public Health Partnership. I've talked to a lot of our 50% free reduced schools here in the county, some of the work sites, and I'm always looking for more connections, you know, but it's basically a community-wide partnership in which we all have to work together, connect with the right people, you know, and just see what we can do.
What's the biggest accomplishment you've had so far?
One of the things that I think I'm real excited about, we're working with Holiday Foods, and we're working to do a couple initiatives in there, and it was really exciting when we were talking with Mark Lockmiller. He goes, well, I didn't, you know, I'm a grocery store owner. I'm not sure what I can actually do. And as we sat down and we were talking to him a little bit more, it clicked with him. And it's just one of those things where sometimes engaging in that conversation with somebody, it was like, I can have a role in this. You know, I can make a change, and it's a benefit to the community. So that's been something that I think is really exciting.
Well, good luck to you. Well, you've been doing it for about a year, and I know I've seen you around, and it just seems like things are getting healthier. And maybe that's because I'm taking a healthier outlook, but it just seems like there are more opportunities to be healthy.
Well, and you know, another really good example too of where this is one little change can impact a lot of people, working with Lisa Day at Kimball, which Jan connected me with. One of the areas we identified was not having, you know, necessarily nutritional options for their vending machines because they don't have an on-site cafeteria, so their lunch options and everything. And Lisa and her wellness team there at Kimball, they've gone out and they found a new vending service that's providing these services for them that they're piloting, and they're really, really excited about it. The food, the quality of the food, the cost of the food is it's pretty cheap. It's like $3 for a really nice sandwich. And so, you know, that's just one of those areas where sometimes it takes creating that conversation and that roundtable discussion to realize, okay, this is an area, you know, maybe is a weakness or area room for improvement, and you just make those little connections and those changes.
Well, thank you for coming in. And Jan, thank you for bringing Ashlee, and thanks for coming, both of you, and being on the show. And it just again shows how Purdue Extension in Du Bois County and the local office does so much to outreach into the community. And all of these things that they talk about on all these shows are available for you to use with your organization. They should just contact either one of you. Probably call Jan to be the easiest.
Maybe.
If you just call the Purdue Extension office, our great admin staff will hook you up with whoever you need to talk to.
All right. Thank you very much, both of you, for coming in.
Thank you, Bill.
Ashlee Sudbury, I almost said Ashlee Niehaus.
I know.
Congratulations on your, I guess it's been almost a year, maybe?
August.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Congratulations on your marriage. But Ashlee Sudbury is the Community Wellness Coordinator through Purdue Extension, and Jan Dougan, who is the Director of the Du Bois County Purdue Extension Office and the Educator for Health and Human Services. Thanks to you ladies. Thanks for watching WJTS Inform. We're local people watching local people.